Well, we can have a chat now about that victory and all things Ulster as Centre Stuart McCloskey joins us. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Good. Still recovering from the weekend. Still a bit sore. First one of the year. So, yeah, struggling on, but getting old. And you know what it's like.
I love that. He's just playing it down. We're just going to go straight to it, mate. That offload. Are the boys calling you Sonny Bill McCloskey this morning, or?
Yeah, cheers for the shout out. Yeah, I got a few messages from boys saying Sonny Bill Williams, but no, sometimes you practice these things. Sometimes you might as well try them on penalty advantage. So I came off for once. So thankfully, a few good tweets were about me for once.
It was magical. That's what you said. You said, mate, that was just the magic.
I know it was an interesting day. Anyway, I was doing a best man speech at 5:20, and then I was playing rugby at 7:30. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, a few hours for me.
So what you were saying, you had 10 pints in the lead up to the game. Is that what you're saying? It was one of them stories, was it?
I can't confirm or deny, but it might affect contracts and stuff.
Right, we'll say you had 5. 5 is responsible, 10 is not responsible before a game. But obviously, mate, the season started very well for you boys. An emphatic 36 points to 10 victory over Connacht. Pre-season, you're always obviously great to get the first game out of the way, but pre-season been tough. Is there an evolution in you as a player now, seeing that offload? Is that we're going to see more of that?
I don't want to be too rugby nosy about it, but yeah, I think I got sort of centred in as being like a cross ball centre for a while, and I don't think it really was. I think people just said it was because it was big. But yeah, I think the last season or two you've seen a bit more of the pullback passes, the offloads coming through, and I think the coaches sort of allowed me to do a bit more as well. So it's nice to be playing on a team like that.
We were talking about the Premiership, but also even the Italian teams, and watching the way that Cardiff played at the weekend as well, and particularly yourselves. Is there a big play from your team, also without giving away any inside knowledge, that you've got a great pack of forwards? We were kind of joking at the start, weren't we, about you being a Route 1 China. You've got a classy back three as well. But is there a real push now for the evolution to play more and take more risks with the ball in hand?
Yeah, you sort of see, I don't know, we probably didn't see the game against Ulster, us against the Munster at the end of last year. We beat them 36-10 or something. We played a lot of good rugby. A lot of good sort of first phase, second phase tries that were through the backs, which is nice. But we also had the evolution, the forwards at the weekend mauled really well. Sort of beat them up there, and that allowed us to win because we were pretty messy in the backs. I know we have a lot of electric guys like Balakoon and Stockdale, but we had a lot of errors. So it's all only improvements from here. If we hold on the ball a bit more, it could have been a few more points.
And then in talking about the back line, obviously there's some real stars there. Balakoon, you mentioned there, Mike Lowry at fullback. Your centre partner, James Hume, has been ridiculous, and you know he's been in outstanding form for the last sort of couple of years as well. Do you feel, and it's quite a tough question to ask, I know you went on the tour down to New Zealand with the call-up, do you get enough praise around the island set up for you boys playing as well as you do at times, where you know we've seen a lot of Leinster and Munster boys getting picked a little bit more?
It's a
tough one, but it's an honest one, because watching from the outside, you boys are ripping it up, and James Hume and centre partnerships it's probably the most competitive area of Ireland's team, right?
Well, that's it. I'd love to have a few more caps, and if it was my opinion, I probably should have had a few more by now. But listen, the guys that have been there over the last 6-7 years since I got my first cap, it's probably been the best sort of 7 years in Irish rugby history. Centres wise, anyway, Bundy and Robbie were starting for the Lions, which are the 212s and sort of played against them in it. Not to say I don't think I could have done a better, a good job or a similar job to them playing for Ireland, but it's tough when guys are there already established on a team that's winning. Why would you change it? If you know what I mean, if you're a coach, why would you change that? There's nothing really to gain from it.
Yeah, it must be tough. I mean, I think you've got 6 caps for Ireland, I'm right in saying, and I think everyone can agree that you'd get 106 for Scotland. Oh, that's old news. I think everyone can agree that you probably deserve more, but we've mentioned the players there, and it's great that you're quite candid. What is Andy Farrell like filtering down to players like yourself who are on the edge of the squad? Is there feedback, or is it a case of look, mate, you've got these two in front of you and there isn't a huge amount you can do? Or is there that feedback to say, look, if you start throwing stuff out the back door like you did at the weekend, you're in?
No, one thing I'd always say about Andy, he's an unbelievable coach, and he's a great bloke as well. In terms of, I should be the guy that hits him the most, really. If you're looking at players, I don't get picked really that much. I'm in squads, but don't get playing. But I actually have total respect for him. Like, he's always very upfront about it. Remember the end of last year when I didn't get brought on the tour at the start. He didn't really have. There wasn't really a great deal of work-ons for me. It was just in terms of circumstances, it was just I'm going with Robbie and Bundy, and that's who I'm picking. And I sort of respected that in a way. It's not filling my head with crap and telling me things that I should be doing. Like, there's obviously work-ons here and there, but there wasn't big things that needed to change. It was just those were the guys he's going with.
Now, I've done a bit of research, chatting to a few lads around the Ulster camp, and they say you got a nickname when you go to Ireland camp. I don't want to be horrible, but this happened to me, and the only reason I bring it up is because it happened to me a lot in my career. Yeah. Now, bearing in mind, Johnny Wilkinson played whenever he could walk, and if he couldn't walk, I might get a sniff. So it happened to me. But what's the nickname at Ireland camp then from the boys?
I don't know. Is it from Coons? Is it?
Sounds like a John Cooney. Basically, John Cooney's horrible. He told me to call you the Rhino tackle bag. I mean, that's horrible. John Cooney said it.
He definitely calls me that, but it's a very similar situation for him, so he knows the crack.
But his hair's on point every training session, so it doesn't really matter.
It's falling out now. I just watched. Look at the top of it. There's a wee ball patch coming.
Really?
Is there?
Oh yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
He's thinking of getting hair fillers, full hog ones.
Oh no, you don't want to go Mickey Rourke. You don't want to go down that. Did you say Stuart Hogg? Did you say Stuart Hogg?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
Mickey
absolutely
Rourke.
hanging bit of kit. You don't want to go down that route. It's almost got to the point where it just doesn't look right. One of the things with Ulster, Stuart, is we talk about Dan McFarland, and probably you guys as a whole. Everyone speaks about Leinster. Goody's just mentioned it there. There's the Munster history that isn't quite there at the minute. What does Dan McFarland say about where you lads are now and about going forward? What's like the realistic expectation?
It's probably changed over 5 years. He's been here now. At the start, it was trying to get us back to competing for things, but now I think it's an all-out win. Like, not a win or bust attitude, because I think we have a squad that could take us forward in the next 2 or 3 years. But if we don't at least get to a final or win something now, I don't see what we're doing really. We're pretty close last year. We got beat by Toulouse and over 2 legs by a point in the 83rd minute, and we lost to Stormers in the 86th minute of the semi. So we're pretty close. Like, we're moving in the right direction, I'd say.
Yeah, you certainly are, and obviously that the next step is to get to a final again. I know there was obviously success in 06, but and to win it, you're not that far away. And in reality, you go back to that Toulouse game. I think it was it you that got cleaned out, and I put it on social media saying, "How did this not get checked?" When they end up scoring the winning try. So it is fine margins. Is that something that's been spoken about? Because you can do everything you can in the season in the league games, but it ends up being about the knockout games at the end of the year, which hopefully it's a bit of a learning process for you boys to get to that next step, right?
Yeah, I think one thing we've done, I think the squad's a lot better now than it was 4 years ago as well. So depth-wise, if someone gets injured, it's not like we're struggling to back someone up. I think most positions now we've got like 2 teams basically. So I think that was where we struggled before. We get the semis and have 4 or 5 key guys injured. We'd just struggle, wouldn't have the bodies there that could do it. But that was a big thing. And then just finishing out games. Like last year, I know we won most of the games, but a lot of the time we get up and let teams come back in the game. So just trying to finish off games a bit better this year. You
mentioned Stockhorse being quick there. Who are the lads who are competing? Obviously, your good self, but you're a bull, you're an offloader now. But with Mike Lowry, Balakoon and these lads, you've got some quality, quick guys in and around it. Who is the quickest out of all of them? Who's the best in training?
I can tell you who the quickest is. There's a guy, he'll be playing for us. Well, he's on the bench last week. Guy Aaron Sexton. He's ran 10.1 over 100 meters. He's absolutely rapid. Like, you never see a guy.
Jim, what are you shaking your head at there? It's like
I did 14.1, so it's only 4 seconds behind. Ain't that bad?
He's rapid, eh? He's obviously no relation to Johnny Sexton then, because he hasn't got those wheels, has he?
Oh, definitely not. No. Watch to get he's playing this week against the Scarlets. If he gets an open field, we see how fast he is. It is insane.
Are these athletes coming through now? Is it? I mean, not that you're an old boy, but you're in your prime. You're 30. Are these young lads coming through now? Are they stronger and fitter like you've never seen? Yeah,
well said. Thanks, in prime. Yeah, like. It's weird these days. I think the lads start doing all this professional stuff so young. They're training from when they're 16, 17. Not like guys probably started a bit later, but it's mental. They're already ready to play professional rugby when they get to the age of 19 instead of still being at uni and going out 3 nights a week. So yeah, they're they're ready to play a lot earlier. They're better athletes than they were back in the day. So it's good to see. It's good for us as well.
And tell me about these young kids. Tell me they like to have a beer at some point, because I know, whereas Jim says you're in your prime, I like to think that you're well travelled and you're the sort of boy that likes a beer after a game, even though kids are now a big part of it.
Weathered.
Are the young boys? Yeah, weathered. No, that's
all. It's Northern Ireland. It's cold. It's wet.
Yeah. Are the boys? Are the boys still having a beer and stuff after a game?
Yeah, you do get a few good ones now. I think there's a 2-nighter in Swansea this weekend, so I'm sure a few boys will be out after that. But yeah, the young lads will still go out. We still get a few good stories on Monday, which is nice to hear. It doesn't change too much.
I was going to say, I just want to be a little bit self-indulgent and ask you about the New Zealand tour, because I know you got called up and you got to play against the New Zealand Māori. That must have been a hell of an experience for you.
It was a strange one. I actually missed my stag do. Got called on Thursday. The stag do was meant to be on the Saturday.
Where to? Give us a date. Where was it meant to be?
Oh mate, it was just in Northern Ireland. Nothing big. I couldn't plan it because I thought it might be Aldenturn to start off with. That was the problem.
Back yourself.
Have you had another stag do since or not?
No. So it's a good excuse. I was best man. I was best man for my best man there the other day. So he says he's still got to plan something big for me.
But that tour, Stuart. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, yeah, the tour was it was class. Amazing place, New Zealand. It was a few, like, for the guys that were playing the Maori game, it was sort of, we were finished from the Tuesday night, we were sort of finished off, had to train the rest of it, so it was nice experience, a bit of Auckland or a bit of Wellington, so it was a few days before the test match. But the lads that played in the test were unbelievable, like sort of really put New Zealand to the sword. It could have been more points in a few of the games.
And with them games as well, when you're in New Zealand, because I remember no one recognised me when I was there the World Cup in 2011. I thought they might have Hamilton, obviously the association with Scotland. But as Irish players, when they're in there, and the tour went so well for the players, there's high-profile players, a lot of them toured there, the British and Irish Lions tour a few years ago. Are they getting recognised when they're there, or is there still that humble arrogance of the Kiwis where they've got no idea who the lads are, all they care about is the All Blacks, or have they gone up in the expectations, do you think, of the public?
No, I think they've gone up in the expectations of the public. I don't know what it'll be like for Scotland.
I can tell you.
But,
great lads, shit at rugby.
Just Finn. They only care about Finn, I reckon. Yeah. That's it.
Definitely him. No, they recognised a lot most of the lads. Like Johnny was getting stopped everywhere. Pino Manny, Bundy, those kind of lads, like stick out like a sore thumb, so they do. So yeah, they were pretty much pestered the whole time. I think they've got a bit more respect for the other teams now.
Yeah, were you surprised at how quickly the New Zealand media and public turned on the All Blacks and the coaches? Did you guys notice that at all?
Yeah, I have noticed it since as well. It's wild. Like, you've been number one team in the world for 20 odd years, and then it's 6 months of bad rugby, which isn't even bad rugby. Got beat by a pretty good team, and it's absolute panic stations. Everybody wants to coach out immediately. It's kind of like Premiership football.
They're a disgrace, mate. They're fickle as anything, the Kiwis, aren't you, Andy? One minute you're the greatest team, next minute sack the coach. Last thing I'll ask you then, two questions actually. Firstly, obviously World Cup at the end of the year must be on the horizon for you in terms of wanting to be part of that. Ireland have an amazing chance of winning it, as we've seen, going over to New Zealand. You need a bit of luck and other things going your way, and obviously playing well to get there. Is that even a thought at the minute, or is it more a case of just crack on with Ulster and see where you get to?
Like at the start of the year, I'm like we sort of enjoy do things pre-season where you sort of set yourself goals. Like, that's something that I would love to do, but at the minute, not really. Just try to get game to game, try to stay fit. It's one of those ones, will need a bit of luck. It doesn't really matter how well I play, but I do need a bit of luck to get a few chances in there. But hopefully get a go, and if I can get in there again, sort of put a marker down.